I came across this quote from Buddha. So I'll read it. It says, "Here, bhikkhus, some misguided men learn the Dhamma, discourses, stanzas, expositions, verses, exclamations, sayings, birth stories, marvels, and answers to question. But having learned the Dharma or Dhamma, they do not examine the meaning of those teachings with wisdom. Not examining the meaning of those teachings with wisdom, they do not gain a reflective acceptance of them. Instead, they learn the Dhamma only for the sake of criticizing others and for winning in debates. And they do not experience the good for the sake of which they learned the Dhamma." And this is not just common to Buddhism, but it is common to every aspect of life, every other teaching. Now, getting all the intellectual knowledge is not a difficult job. You can buy a book or you can listen to a lecture from a teacher and you can gain all the intellectual knowledge. But the thing is that has that knowledge percolated deep? Is there a recognition of the truth or the being? Now, usually, what happens when the sense of separate self is there, what this ego entity does is that it tries to acquire all the knowledge by reading all the sutras or by learning all the scriptures and stanzas and all the verses, and then it uses that knowledge to strengthen itself, to establish its own supremacy, or to establish the supremacy of their particular religion or teaching. And this is quite evident, when you see comments, YouTube comments, or other social media like Quora. I'm not on any other social media, so sometimes I look at Quora questions and I see people just trying to prove themselves right. Now, where does this need to prove oneself right and to prove the other wrong comes from? It comes from this sense of separate existence. It comes from the belief that I am separate, that I need to strengthen myself. And for that, the ego wants to prove itself right. And that is the suffering of the ego, to prove itself right. So it is very easy for anybody to take up any scripture and memorize it by heart. But has the teaching gone beyond the intellectual layer and awakened the heart? That is the real question. When the teaching has gone beyond, one does not tend to react to things, in a very aggressive way. There is no need for that individual to prove himself right. The deepest truth will never be given to you by any teacher, by any scripture. For that, you will have to go within, and you will eventually discover yourself as the truth, not as the knower of truth, but as the truth itself. And when you are established in that truth, in that restfulness, in that peace, in that love, then there will be no need to condemn any other teaching or condemn any other religion or people or challenge their beliefs, because you do not operate from a place of fear. You operate from the place of highest vibration, which is love. So you allow the other people to explore truth, to come to truth through their own experience, just as you have come to your own truth through your personal experience. And that is what the Buddha is saying here. But what happens usually is that, armed with knowledge, the ignorant tries to prove himself right. And generally, what I see is that people leave a lot of comments, but they have nothing to show for as such. So you can recite anything, you can put up a statement saying that Brahman is all consciousness. But have you really deeply realized that the Brahman is pure consciousness? That mind, when you say my nature is pure consciousness, is it your living reality or have you just memorized it? When it is your living reality, there will be no need for you to prove it to anybody. In fact, you will give it to people as a concept, only as a concept. You will tell them, you will give them this freedom, this option that this has been my experience, this has brought me peace, and this is what I'm sharing with you. What I'm sharing is a story, is a concept, not the truth. And then you are free to explore this concept. You are free to, critically examine this concept and see if it matches your life experience or not. And only when it matches your life experience, which stands the test of time and which brings you to a place of peace and restfulness and harmony with existence, only then it becomes your truth. So, this is a great wisdom by Buddha. It is very easy to speak, it is very easy to give teachings, but it is very difficult to be silent. To be quiet is the is the real teaching, because the highest teaching comes in silence. The highest teaching is never in words. Teaching in words is just an intermediary thing which many teachers do when they feel that the seeker is not mature enough to understand the deep meaning of the silence. And that is why Ramana Maharishi said that silence is the highest teaching. Silence is the language of love. Once that recognition of love happens, there remains no need to prove oneself right.